Today, we're all going to be artists. How so? Because we're going to go drawing. No, we're not going to draw fluffy little clouds. We're going to draw the chess game. Sure, we all want to win the game, but sometimes your position gets so critical that a half point is a lot better than a 0. Today's lesson about forcing the draw is basically an addendum to our lesson on ways to draw, so make sure you mastered that idea before you go on to this one. Here, we're going to look at ways to give a draw like repetition of position, stalemate, and certain book draws. We didn't cover those in our earlier draws video. Take a look at our chess position. Uh-oh, white's in big trouble. Oh, no. Can you count all the different ways black can checkmate? Well, that's one, that's one, that's one, that's basically mate. I'm giving up because there's just too many to name. However, it's white's turn. Would white be happy with a draw? He sure would. We have a way here to give a repetition. Remember, that means getting in the same position 3 times. We can sacrifice our rook to destroy black's king's safety. He better take the rook, because if he runs away, ooh, wow, we actually get to win the game. That'd be pretty cool. But black is probably going to take our rook. Now we need a series of checks. We don't want to let the black king out of his little box there. So the best check is queen to g5. Check. Now he has 2 different ways to run away. It doesn't matter which one he picks, we're going to make the same reply. When he plays king f8, don't check there. He'll start to run away, and I'm not sure you'll be able to continue your checks. Instead, let's play queen to d8. He has to go back, and we simply return to g5. Sure, he could go to h8, but we play back to d8, and when the king moves here, we can write down the move queen g5 on our notation pad, because queen to g5 is going to be the 3rd repetition of the position. We have ourselves a half point. Moving on. Here we have another dire situation for the white king. We're not drawing some clouds, although that sounds kind of pleasant. We're going for a draw. White. Notice he only has a rook that can move. Wouldn't it be nice if our rook was gone? What? Yes, we talked about this idea before. Giving away your last piece to force a stalemate is the way to go. If he takes our rook, well, it's stalemate. It's our move. We're not in check. We can't move anywhere. Now, of course, he could run away, but we simply give check again. Check. Now, if he runs back to b8, what do we do here, kids? We take the free pawn? Well, one pawn's not going to get us back in the game. Black has multiple ways to checkmate us. Rook c1. We have knight to g3. That's not going to help us at all. What we are going to do is return to b7. And as you might guess, either he takes our rook for stalemate or we get another repetition of position. Whew, a draw saved the day. Now we're going to move on to our book draws section. What's a book draw? Well, a book draw is any position where, with best play, the weaker side can hold the draw. And usually, it's not that hard to hold the draw. Take a look at our chess position here. If we didn't have the bishop, black can't win with a rook pawn. It doesn't even matter about opposition. We've talked about that before. But here's the funny thing. Even with the bishop, black cannot win. Why? Because when you've got a side pawn or a rook pawn and a bishop, the bishop has to be on the same color as the promotion square of the pawn. The promotion square is a light square. The bishop's on a dark square. That doesn't match up. In fact, the draw is so easy, I'm not even going to show it to you. All the white king has to do is go to the corner, move away, go to the corner, move away. As long as you do that, you can't lose. If you don't believe me, set the board up and try to win with that defense. You won't be able to do it. Let's add some pieces, though. Now that we know about that book draw, as the white team, we can actually force that book draw in this position. Black has 2 pawns, but one of them is a rook pawn. That's his less important pawn. We want to get rid of the g pawn. Here's white's amazing move. Bishop to h6. That looks like a complete beginner move, but actually it's a grandmaster move because we know about the book draw. The black pawn on g7's pinned. It can't run away. And if he takes us, well, it doesn't even matter if black has multiple rook pawns. As long as his bishop is the wrong color of the promotion square, white draws. Black really can't avoid this. If he tries moving his king or something, well, now we'll just sacrifice for the pawn. And again, we have gotten a book draw. It's really important to know your book draws so you know how to force them. Moving on to our next chess position, we have something slightly more complicated. Again, white's in a bad spot. What's up with white today? I don't know. He's down 2 pawns and his bishop on a3 is under attack. Oh, no. However, grandmasters know about something called opposite colored bishops. When both sides on the chessboard have a bishop, if they're on different colors, that doesn't guarantee a draw, but if you're the weaker side, it often means it's easier to make a draw. So the correct move here for white is actually to give up the bishop pair. Kind of surprising. We don't normally want to do that. But when black takes us, all we have to do now is make sure the black pawns never advance to the dark squares. And the best way to do that is to use our old friend, Mr. Blockade. Remember that one? King to d4. And really, the black pawns can never move forward. If you really want to put the black pawns on lockdown, you'll play a move like bishop to d6, followed by bishop to e5, and those black pawns are never going to go anywhere. We're down 2 pawns, but it's a book draw. 2 grandmasters would shake hands right away here. They wouldn't even play it out. As you're probably noticing, there are lots of book draws. We're going to look at one last one, and then you'll do more in the lesson section. Here, white's again in a bad spot. Black has 1 extra pawn, and that 1 extra pawn's about to march down the board and make a queen. However, we can sacrifice for the pawn. When black takes us back, this may surprise you. 2 knights with nothing else on the board is a book draw. What? Now, you can set up a checkmate, you just can't force one. Here, even though white's king is in a really bad spot, he can still draw. When the king moves over, this knight can hop in. When the king moves over, this knight can give check, but here's the problem. When our king moves to the corner, this knight is never able to deliver a check, which would be a checkmate. And if he moves anywhere on the chessboard, it would just be stalemate. Of course, you could move this knight away, but then the king just returns, and after check, you go back to the corner, same situation. There is no way for this knight to deliver the finishing blow. 2 knights with nothing else on the board. Amazingly, it's a draw. You've got to know your book draws, chess kids. You've also got to remember about threefold repetition and stalemate. Knowing all of your drawing ideas will help you save some of those lost positions.